Yes!
That's the gate.
Oh my God!
Mountain bike fans, thank you for joining us. I'm glad you're here because we plan to have a heck of a time in British Columbia. This is stop number 2 of the 2021 Crankworx World Tour, and we are on stop number 3 of our Crankworx B.C. epic road trip, which started in Sun Peaks Resort near Kamloops, B.C. We then worked our way into the high alpine peaks of Kicking Horse near Golden, B.C. And now we find ourselves in beautiful SilverStar Mountain Resort, close to Vernon, British Columbia, the second biggest bike park in Canada. So many trails out here, 130 kilometers of trails to be exact, 400 dirt jumps, 870 plus berms, and 44 runs. This is a place you gotta put on your hit list for a summer mountain bike vacation. We'd like to acknowledge that we're gathered here today on the unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan peoples, and what a beautiful land we find ourselves on for a day of mountain bike competition. What discipline, do you ask? Well, if we didn't spoil it by that beautiful overhead shot right there, it's all about pump track today, baby. We've got a lot of points up for grabs, and we've been doing so much math the last few days, it's insane. Bas van Steenbergen leading the charge in the King titles for the men. Via Verbeek leading the charge for the Queen title for the women, and so many looking to gather points for those overalls and all that money up for grabs. But mostly everybody's having fun, taking chains off their bikes and riding. My name's Cam McCall. I'm going to be your host, walking you through the pump track race today, and I'm lucky enough to be joined by my buddy here, Elliot Jackson. Elliot, what up?
Oh, my goodness, it is cold. It is a cold pump track day, but I'm so excited to watch the racing. I've been watching practice right behind us, and everyone's going super fast. I love it.
Yeah, you know, it feels good to actually be back racing because we've been traveling, we've been getting a lot of riding in, but we haven't been doing as many broadcasts as we would have liked because there was a lot of weather. But we did have a really great time at Kicking Horse. We were supposed to have a speed and style event, but the clouds just decided to dump rain all over. But we did take advantage of that beautiful course out there at Kicking Horse by having a pretty epic jump jam. We got to thank Steve Crow and the Kicking Horse Bike Park Trail Crew for building that course and allowing the riders to session down on the course. We're getting some looks at that on screen right now, Elliot.
Oh my God, it's so nice. You see George and Zahoto just scrubbing. Everyone just having such a good time, just riding with your friends, sessioning, doing tricks, having fun. No matter what, if there's racing, oh my God. It's so gnarly. They were trying to get as close as possible. Old school heel clicker, loving it.
Star Trail Solutions built that amazing kicker ramp, and that's actually going to get donated now. There's going to be riders in Golden, BC being able to enjoy those ramps, but we're enjoying the footage of that little jam session right there. It's like some synchronized swimming style mountain biking.
Yeah, totally. I feel like it's like when you're a kid, it's like, okay, I'm going to follow you. How close can I get? And then next thing you know, you hit somebody's tire, go down, but it's all in the name of fun.
There was more to do in Kicking Horse than just the jump jam. Of course, I think I did about 12,000 feet of vertical descending, and somebody who didn't waste his time at Kicking Horse was Tegan Cruz. Let's take a look at how Tegan enjoyed his time at Kicking Horse.
Some people think Canada is like really big mountains, and that's basically here for you. Pretty amazing drive between Revelstoke and Golden. Super steep mountains on either side of you and all the little avalanche paths you see along the way. It's pretty beautiful for sure. Most of the people around here just live here because they love the mountains and they love skiing or snowboarding in the winter and biking in the summer. When I first loaded the gondola to Kicking Horse here, we just kept going up, and then you get off and you're way up there and like past tree level. It's pretty cool, like right before you drop in at the top, you can like see for so far and all the mountains around you. And then you get to the bottom and you look up and realize how far you actually just went. The top's more shale rocks and just pretty rough riding, and then you get into more like smooth rock rolls type of stuff. Cool to see like wood bridges weaved throughout all the big boulder fields and some unique features. As you get lower down, it's more like nice dirt, more bike park stuff. They're expanding more with like more beginner riding and just like fun family trails. My mom and my brother went out and rode some of the more mellow trails here, and they said it was a blast. Steep, beautiful, fun. Definitely a cool scene here.
We'll see Tegan Cruz here today. He was the number 5 qualifier in the pump track race, so he's made it into the round of 8. He made it through the round of 16, which is great. But pump track, not the first bit of racing that we've done here at SilverStar. Yesterday was a muddy mess, but epic racing in the specialized dual slalom SilverStar. I mean, looking at some of the photos that came out of yesterday's racing, I couldn't believe that it was actually possible to hold the race, but let's take a look at the muddy mess that was dual slalom yesterday.
Welcome race fans to the specialized dual slalom at SilverStar Resort. Just about to get underway with the round of 16 men and women. Stop number 3 on Crankworx B.C. tour here at SilverStar.
Conditions are definitely going to play a part, but these guys are sending it for sure. Heavier the better.
Just took a little spill in the second run there. All good, yeah, but won't be moving on to the round 8.
I think in this weather I probably kept the mistakes to a minimum, and I think that's kind of what got me into the final. And then, you know, when you go up against someone like Bass in a slalom race, you just got to put everything as much as you can on the track, and brakes didn't really work because I was so full of mud from the shuttle, so kind of got to the first turn and either had to sink or swim, and just kept committing to it, and it kept going round, so worked out.
So Kealani Hines was able to take the most points out of that slalom race yesterday, add to her overall tally. She's sitting in 3rd for the Queen rankings right now. She's also the #1 qualifier for today's pump track race, Elliot.
Yeah, she looked great in practice. I love seeing the different starting techniques. This is going to be kind of one of the key things. Everyone has different styles. You'll see some people hop, some people kind of lunge, some people use their brakes, some people not, and she's got it down. She's been practicing so much, so I think that was one of the things that really put her up into the lead today.
Put her up at the top of the qualifying rankings right now. Let's take a look at those brackets. You see Kealani Hines there with the #1 next to her name. All the way down at the bottom, #2 next to her name, Via Verbeek, who is leading the Queen overall. So we see them on a collision course today. What are some of the other heats that you're looking for? Maybe some upsets?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, Harriet's been riding so well, really kind of enjoying the mountain bike. We saw her do so well in slalom, even though it was muddy, and she's typically been a BMX rider. So I think that she's going to be one to watch for sure.
Casey Brown and Harriet Burbage-Smith, the 3 and 6 qualifiers. That's going to be a great heat as well. But the way we do it here in Pump Track is we start out with that #1 qualifier, and all the pressure's on. When you qualify first, you feel like it's yours to lose, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. And you have kind of that easier road. You know, if you qualify first, you're going against the A seed. Should be an easy round for you, but we see so many times that just one mistake, especially on Pump Track, can cause you to be out of the bracket.
All right, well, it sounds like we have our riders loaded up into the gate to kick off the Pump Track festivities for the day. This is the RockShox Pump Track Challenge SilverStar. Stop number 3 on this amazing BC road trip we've been on at the very tail end of summer. Kind of feels like fall has very much taken over
Or
SilverStar
winter.
Mountain
One of the
Resort.
two.
What's that?
I said or winter.
Yeah, kind of feels like winter a little bit, doesn't it? So Keelani Hines going up against Kylie Stewart.
Not too many places to build speed, but a whole lot of places where you can lose it.
We kind of see Keelani
racing
coming out of the gate.
Keelani Hines.
You have to fight everything in your power to not push back. You lunge out of the gate, and if you kind of pull back on the handlebars, you'll lose speed. So you'll see the riders be really kind of precise and easy on the bike when they come out of the gate after that first hop.
I think it'll be fun today to really kind of try to break down some of those different starting strategies out there, because it's no easy task getting that bike moving without a chain, and the gate isn't on that steep of a hill. You see Keelani crossing the finish line first in run #1 of Heat 1 against Kylie Stewart. Let's take a look back at some slow-mo replays. Full speed replay. No, that's slow-mo.
Just waiting, but this track kind of right there, that's going to be one of the kind of the crux of this track, is that those 2 switchbacks, really wanting to be early into those turns.
Well, back to the start. Heat #2, run #1, loaded up in the gate. The youngster Gracie Hemstreet going up against New Zealand's Robin Gooms.
So Robin Gooms looking like she gets a slight advantage out of the gate.
Saw
That
Gracie
rider's left
really
track
crushing
is
in the
a little bit
downhill.
Faster, but Gracie keeping her honest as they're neck and neck
Pretty
down
tight
this
racing here
backstretch,
between
coming into the
Gooms and
vertical
Hemstreet.
line corner.
Gooms,
All your
great speed out of that
from
back
the
berm.
finish straight.
Slingshotting
Robin
out.
Gooms making
She'll
light
have the
work
advantage
of it.
through the line of
So hard to hold
1.1.
the speed there. Gracie now finding
And that
herself
rider's right-hand lane is going to be a little bit slower, so that last right-hand turn is super wet. It's been in the shade, and we did get some rain, so there's kind of they were actually trying to what is it? The torch the dirt to dry it out. So I think it's gotten a little bit faster, but you'll definitely see people lose time in that last berm on the rider's right side.
Artificial sunshine in the form of the Tiger torch. So interesting bike setups for Pump Track. A very important part of the puzzle is what tires you choose and how much air you choose to put in those tires. Let's take a look at our Maxxis tire check.
Kia ora, my name is Tua Tuariki,
Hi, I'm Keelani Hines. Hey, I'm Haz.
Hey, I'm Bastian Steenbergen.
and this is my Maxxis tire check.
Obviously for Pump Track, we're running dirt jumpers, which is a 26-inch tire, and I am running the DTH.
I'm running the DTH front and rear, just super slick tires for a super fast pump track. Run them up as high as I can for this one. I think it's looking pretty grippy. Always rock the tan walls if you can.
In the front, we got the pace. It's at 2.1 with 55 PSI in it. And then in the back, we got the DTH. It's 2.15 with 65 PSI in it. So we run these real solid to get as much rolling speed as possible.
I'll be running Holy Rollers on front and rear. I reckon about 35, maybe to 50 PSI, depends. Yeah, they roll pretty quick. I think they got some pretty good grip on them, but I reckon I'll just go for speed this time. The track looks mean and fast, so yeah. Thank you, that's my Maxxis tire check.
Harriet says you got to run those tan walls if you can, of course, for cool factor. We see Harriet right there choosing to run that DTH in the front with 50 PSI rear. Let's crank 60 PSI into that DTH. That thing will be rolling quick.
Yeah, and compared to the downhill, we were talking about how the men and women run different tire pressures, but here it seems about the same. I was wondering if she was going to put a seat on. I saw she had no seat in the tire track.
No chain, no seat. Extra points for however many parts you can take off of your bike here in Pump Track. All right, Harriet Burbage-Smith going up against Casey Brown. Harriet, the 3rd qualifier. Casey, the 6th.
Casey's got a ton of experience riding his Crankworx pump tracks, but you have Harriet, who has that BMX background. Looking for her to really make up a lot of time on these rollers, good manuals.
So an important run here for Harriet and Casey.
Harriet breaking the beat.
Harriet crossing the line, 0.1 ahead of Casey Brown. So pretty tight matchup there. Of course, Casey Brown really looking to chisel down that 132 points between her and Via Verbeek in the queen overall. So she does really want to get through this round, Elliot.
Yeah, and so this is that turn we were talking about. She's going to get slowed down a little bit there. You can see how hard she has to work. Out of the start gate, you can manual those, and then compared to Casey on this rider's left, so much more speed there. That's just because of the track. So that'll be something kind of have to mentally prepare yourself for as a racer.
So here we see in the gate somebody we've been talking about a lot all season. Via Verbeek leading the queen of Crankworx overall points. She's absolutely been on a tear so far in this BC road trip. She has 3 wins, 2 fourths. She cleaned up at Sun Peaks, winning all the events. She got 4th at Psychosis, which is the craziest downhill race on the planet. Times around 14, 15 minutes. And 4th in slalom just last night. So she's 132 points in the lead for Queen of Crankworx. Casey Brown is in 2nd place. Keelani Hines in 3rd place. And Via is also your number 2 qualifier here in the RockShox Pump Track Challenge SilverStar.
Man, I wish I had that many podium pictures in my life.
And she's got like an entire Instagram profile full of podium pictures. So Via Verbeek on the left side of your screen going up against Amy Ertel, 2 Canadians head to head.
You see Via doing the lunge there, not the hop. So she's really trying to make sure she doesn't ruin her speed by pulling back on the bars. But as a top qualifier, you're really just trying to make sure you don't make any mistakes, don't do anything that's going to jeopardize your chances. Try to save some energy for these later rounds.
So Via Verbeek, your number 2 qualifier, 0.3 ahead of Amy Ertel, your number 7 qualifier.
I wanted to pedal. Yeah, I know. Coming out of the loss.
It's got to be hard to. I mean, she's done all these races. We talked about the 7 finishes she's had so far in the past 10 days. And for all those other races, there's a chain on the bike.
Yeah, totally. I mean, compared to a slalom, right? It's totally opposite. You're on the same gate here at Crankworx, and you have to fight the urge to not take this huge crank.
So there we go. Run 1s in the book here for a round of 8 in our women's field, the RockShox Pump Track Challenge SilverStar. Our advantages have been determined. We've got Hines over Stewart, Gooms over Hemstreet, Burbage-Smith over Brown, but not by very much, and Verbeek over Ertel.
Yeah, it's definitely shaping up. I mean, all 8 of these women are super fast. We've seen them all throughout the week have amazing finishes, so I think no matter what bracket we look at, it's going to be tight.
So tightest matchup we see there is that 0.1. It's going to be interesting to see. We've had in the history of Crankworx Pump Track so many really tight races, and it's always fun to see what the tightest race of the day can be. And now we're going to move things over to the men's round of 8. Our first heat is loaded up in the gate. And if you're curious how we found ourselves here, the round of 16 recap, let's take a look at that. We got our guy in the gate right now, Niels Bensink, who was the number 1 qualifier. He was going up against Forrest Reisko in the round of 16. He already had over a second advantage. And like we talked about, that pressure of being the number 1 qualifier, you don't want to go out in the round of 16, so Niels Bensink doing his job.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I was sitting on the side of the track, and it's just beautiful to watch him ride. It looks like he's just floating around the track.
Whenever it comes to these bracketed race formats, we look at the top, we look at the bottom. Bottom's going to be our number 2 qualifier. That sets the collision course. Bas van Steenbergen qualified 2nd. He was going up against Dylan Crane in the round of 16. Now, Dylan Crane qualified 4 seconds slower than Bas van Steenbergen. He figured this is going to be a tough one. We see run number 2 right here where Bas van Steenbergen already had an advantage. And Dylan Crane kind of putting a show on for the crowd in run number 1. You see he goes, I really don't have the speed to hang with Bas, so I'm going to put on a show for the little crowd here.
Imagine if you're Bas and you like see out of the corner of your eye somebody like upside down. You're like, oh, that guy just like had a huge crash and is coming right at me. Oh my God.
Props to Dylan for keeping us all entertained, and somebody we can always count on to keep us entertained out here at Crankworx Festival. He's been showing up to all the events since 2003. I'm talking about Mikey Hatterer. Would it be Crankworx if Mikey didn't put on a Speedo at some point in time?
Oh man, he's multi-talented. Speedo guy, bike designer guy. You know, he's been around forever. Great to see it. You'll love to see it.
We talked about the fact that it's not a warm day out here.
No.
I was in the pool. Really good aerodynamics though, Mikey. Almost into the round of 8, but it wasn't to be. This is who did make it into the round of 8, Elliot.
Yeah, and one of the people that I think is really interesting is Garrett Meacham there. He's said that he's been loving racing and maybe wants to give it a little bit more of a go, do some downhill riding and things like that for next year and try to take on this King title.
Garrett Meacham is so well-rounded. We saw him competing in slopestyle in Innsbruck. He's been doing very well in the races all week, so let's see if he can take out Tuhoto once that heat number 3 comes up. But right now, it's all about this story right here. Jackson Frew, he's got a couple wins in the last 10 days. He won the downhill in Sun Peaks.
And watch Niles coming out. He kind of makes a rhythm section, hop, hop, and then a third hop into that roller.
So Jackson Frew second in the overall King points right now, but he's going to have to get past the number 1 qualifier, Niels Bensink.
And Jackson there, that's kind of one of the things that we're looking for. He was a little bit kind of low into the turn. So the lower you get, if you come out of that turn a little bit late in that switchback, it's slightly uphill, and that is where he kind of lost the time. You really want to make sure you're early into all these berms.
Let's talk about how much more challenging it might be to ride Jackson's bike choice out here as well. And we're going to see in our slow-mo replays what he's riding.
So Jackson Frew took the gold stage, took the gold yesterday, dual slalom.
Yeah, you can see the rear suspension, and you want one of the reasons why the riders run such high tire pressures, you want it to be really direct into the ground. So I think we've all pedaled around a bike with a shock's not locked out, and all of that energy goes into the suspension. That's the same thing that's happening when you're pumping the bike. Hardtails are going to be much nicer. You see them a little bit low into that berm, and then kind of going next to that pole.
I will say, you got to give credit to Jackson Frew for realizing he's second in points, deciding to race pump track. He may not normally decide that, but he did qualify 8th, so hopefully he can pick up at least those 8th place points there. But Keegan Wright, somebody we're always talking about when it comes to RockShox Pump Track Challenge. Of course, he's the Kiwi. We saw him burst onto the scene at his home event in Rotorua 2017. You remember this, Elliot?
Oh my goodness, look at that. I just remember he was going so fast. Like, he was so aggressive, and you're like, my, how do you keep this up? Like, how are you doing this against Laurent, who is just a pump track machine? A little bit of a mistake from Laurent. But
in case we forgot, now that we're in the pandemic era, that's what a hometown crowd sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait until we can get back to that.
Get me back.
But the Rotorua crowd always has Keegan Wright's back, and I'm sure we've got a lot of them tuned in right now, watching him here in SilverStar, cheering him on. Keegan Wright, the number 4 qualifier. Take a look at his tire setup, Elliot.
And so he's running those Ardents, which going to have a little bit more knobbies. You kind of have to make the trade-off of, do I want traction or do I want speed? Because the track is a little bit more damp, maybe you want some traction.
Well, what about that right-hand berm at the back of the course right there? You might want that Ardent. There we go. Keegan Wright going up against Tegan Cruz. Oh, Keegan
is just a master at these starts. They're doing it so long. But we see Tegan coming all the way back and actually got high of that soft spot in that right-hand berm. Was able to make up so much time throughout that run.
Tegan playing really good defense there right now. 0.4 separates him and Keegan Wright. Tegan and Keegan, only one can make it through to the round of 4. Keegan has the advantage. It's the 4th place qualifier and the 5th place qualifier, so we expect this one to be tight. Let's take a look at exactly how tight it was.
Yeah, Keegan doing a little bit of a snake there to try to get a little bit of speed and kind of the whole bike snake, as much pump as you can on the flat ground. And this is what we're seeing here on, you can see that actually Tegan made up a little bit of time on that right-hander. And what we're...
Look at this. There you can just say that they're basically one roller apart right now. Sometimes we talk about bike lengths separating, but right now exactly one roller apart there. So that kind of boils down to, what was it, 0.3?
Yeah, and it really shows you how little, space 0.3 is, a bike length pretty much.
It's a sneeze. Quick little sneeze, 0.3 of a second. We're going to take it back up to the top of the course right now. Left side of your screen, Tehodo Enrique going up against the man we were talking about earlier, the 6th place qualifier, Garrett Meacham, coming from that jump background, but no slouch in the races as well. So here we go.
And Tehodo's one of those guys who is just so smooth. It looks like he's kind of floating. Also kind of made his mark on the Rotorua pump track, but he's kind of been a downhill specialist this year. And a little mistake from Garrett.
Come on, Rojo. He still got the lead somehow.
And actually making up time on the last straight over those rollers. Shows you how good Lil Rojo is.
I mean, Garrett, a.k.a. Lil Rojo, I think there was a couple mistakes in that run, but he was still able to kind of just put it past and still cross the finish line ahead of Tehodo.
And so he tried to get high, but just was a little bit late out of that turn. Probably was trying to cut that as close as he could, but as soon as you do that, one of the things that also happens, it's much softer over there. But then he just nailed that last straight, made up a lot of time on Tehodo.
He's big Rojo now. Look at this guy.
Totally.
Getting race results, making it onto the Crankworx World Tour. So Garrett Meacham with the advantage over Tehodo Enrique. And we're back up to the top of the course. There's your number 2 qualifier leader in the King of Crankworx overall points right now, Bas van Steenbergen. There's his tire choice, Elliot.
Yep. And so, yeah, everyone's just right around that 55, 65 mark.
Smart, though. You got more knobs in the front than the back. So much speed in that back tire. And Bas van Steenbergen is going up against Braden Barrett Hay, a guy who we used to see on the Crankworx World Tour. You've seen him compete in slope style before.
Doing the tire slam. I think we might see that later on. But I was talking to Bass, and he was just saying that compared to a lot of pump tracks, this pump track is all about the turns. It's so important to get the turns right. It's so important to be smooth. And you can see when you get it right, like he just did, how much time you can make up.
So Bass putting the pole 1.5 on Braden. Braden coming from Ontario, living in Vernon these days, absolutely loving it in BC. It's great to see him roll back out to a Crankworx stop. Look at this overhead view, Elliot.
Yeah, and so you're really trying to gain speed on these rollers and then try to not lose speed in the berms. You go, one of the things to kind of watch for is you go too low in a berm, then you're going to lose traction and slide a little bit. If you're going to go too high, then you aren't able to get that good pump. It's kind of like going through a longer transition. So there's a sweet spot right in the middle where you can get pump and not lose speed.
So Bas van Steenbergen doing his job. This is what our brackets look like.
Yeah, man, it's, I think we saw a lot more mistakes actually in the men's than we did in the women's. And you really, I think that's a lot of it just because you have to push so hard in these pump track races, and it, a little bit wet, a little bit gnarly, a little bit cold. It's definitely one of those races where you're at the end of the week. I think everyone's a bit tired, been traveling and doing slalom, doing downhill, doing Psychosis.
So one competitor we haven't seen on our list here today, who we are definitely missing, is Georgia Astle. Georgia with a bit of an injury right now, but I gotta say, we are loving riding and just hanging out in this region, BC. I know you live in BC. What is it about this area that's so much different than some of the other places you're able to travel to for racing and riding?
Yeah, I mean, BC kind of has it all. And here we are in SilverStar, and we got to come here for a stop of the summer series last year. It's such an amazing place, and right now the fall colors are unreal. It's a cool place to be.
It's a great place. I mean, it's the birthplace of Crankworx, and so it's, even though we can't be in Whistler, it's great to be able to tour around, check out all these different bike parks. And I just want to ask you, Crankworx in general, how important is Crankworx to just kind of uplift and build the female riding scene competitively these days?
Yeah, it's huge. That's actually kind of how I began racing. Growing up in Whistler, you always see Crankworx. And yeah, so those are my first kind of chances to compete. And right now it's insane. There's so many girls and it's growing, so it's really fun to be a part of it. Or on the sidelines watching in my case right now.
Well, we can't wait until you heal up, and you serve as a great example for all those young female riders looking to climb the ranks. There's a film project being worked on right now about you, and for a little tease on that, let's take a peek.
Seeing a young woman that's kind of switched on like that is pretty cool. Like when I was that young, I wasn't that confident.
She's talented like I've rarely seen. She can take on anything new and look absolutely great doing it.
She has no fear, but she's not crazy. Everything she does, she knows she can do it. She's got that killer instinct.
Push it to the limit, I can't go no more. Red light, no way, I'm coming back home. I'm trying to roll all on my own. I'ma be the greatest, write my name in the stone. Write my name in the stone. Yeah, I'm coming back home. Yeah, I'm coming back home. Write my name in the stone. Cause I'm coming back home. I'm coming back home.
As it comes, I'm really stoked to try new things and push myself in little ways that I can. But I just really, really love being on my bike as much as possible.
Well, we will definitely be watching that on October 20th, and if that doesn't make you want to come up to BC and ride mountain bikes, I don't know what will. Here we go. Back to racing action. Kealani Hines, not only the top qualifier, she has our fastest time of the day for the women so far.
Yeah, and this is through everything. We see the times are just so tight, like 0.1, 0.2, and it shows that kind of it's anyone's game, and I think that's one of the things in pump track that you always know. You're only one mistake away from losing it.
And that even stands true here if you have a 0.6 ahead of your competitor. No room for error here. Kealani Hines, your #1 qualifier, on course against Kylie Stewart.
It was actually interesting. You see the times from the first round, and Kealani only had a 19. Both women here in the 19 range. So in qualifying, they were really on it. Shows that these first rounds, everyone kind of takes it a little bit easier, and there she goes. I think that was the new fastest time of the day.
How about that start? Did you see how far ahead she was straight out of the gate? No surprise she has the fastest time of the day so far for the women's field, but look at that. No wasted energy.
Yeah, you kind of think that the start is your speed around the whole track. You can go, half a mile an hour faster out of the gate. You're not breaking the whole track, so.
It's great having that slow-mo view of the start to break down all the different strategies, trying to just get that momentum started somewhere. Different techniques of how to coil that Cobra.
Right.
Let's get that Cobra coiled up there in the gate, can we?
And I think the track will probably be drying out a little bit more as well. Sunny out here. See Gracie and Robin in the gate.
So Robin Gooms with a 1.1 advantage over Gracie Hemstreet. Here's their run 2.
Than she had on the last one, and she's got the faster track, but Robin Gooms pulling away. Robin now dead.
Kind of like strikes me that everyone see a bit of a mistake there. I think one of the things that
here we go. It was a 1.1 advantage, so this is going to be tight. Gracie through the finish line first by 1.0. Oh my God, that was close. Wow.
Look how close that is.
So Robin absolutely did not think she was going to be advancing. She's pretty much ready to pack it up and then realized.
This is that mistake.
Here we go.
Just comes out. You saw her wheels just come off there. Just got a little bit more traction than she was thinking about. You're always looking so far ahead that she thought that she was done with that roller.
So we'll send Gooms into the round of 4 against Kealani Hines.
I don't know if I got that because I was on I hit that pole.
So if you're loving what you're seeing here at Crankworx BC, of course, this is stop number 2 of a 3-part series. Next stop will be Rotorua, New Zealand. And if you're such a huge fan, you can't wait all the way until Rotorua, go to crankworx.com for updates on some of your favorite events, favorite riders, overall point standings, and of course, some cool merchandise. If you want to strut your stuff around town and let everybody know you're a mountain biker, you watch the Crankworx World Tour. Crankworx.com is where you can find it all. beanies, sweatshirts, dog bowls, shirts. What else do you want? Go to crankworx.com.
I remember I got a Crankworx shirt back in, I don't even know when that was, maybe 2010, and I wore it till it was so faded you couldn't even tell what it was.
Yeah, we love Crankworx. Who else loves Crankworx? Casey Brown loves Crankworx. Here's what she's running in her fork. She's got that FS Pike DJ, 120 PSI, 2 clicks a rebound. You want to really stiffen that fork up for pump track.
Yeah, you definitely don't need to worry too much about the traction here. But this is going to be pivotal for both these riders. It's so close in the first round.
Casey can do this if she's on point. She's 0.1 behind Harriet, but this course is difficult. It's got that soft berm on the back end of the course. Let's see if Casey's able to carry speed in that final straightaway.
Here it is.
Really hard to hold speed through it. Harriet
carrying a lot of speed on that faster track.
So Harriet will move on. A job well done for your number 3 qualifier there, Harriet Burbage-Smith.
And that was a faster time than Kehlani's number 1 qualifying time there from Harriet. So
the plot thickens.
Harriet getting the double hop and then cruising in there. I think one of the things that when you're thinking about what makes a good pump is how smooth you are. You don't want to see the tires bonking onto the top. See Harriet just perfect into the backside. You don't want to be too far down. And you don't want to be casing the roller either. You can see it's just kind of a constant, you know, drive from Harriet to make up time, really gets those turns good. And then Casey in that slower lane, just not able to make it happen.
Harriet, number 3 qualifier out there today. When you consider all the different events you've signed up for in the past 10 days, which has been your favorite so far?
It's a good combo. I quite like this track. So this or the slalom was really sick. The Sun Peaks Air Downhill was also a really fun track. So just enjoying everything.
Something about pump track that people don't always realize as we're watching you try to catch your breath is even though it's such a short run, how physically taxing is this format of riding?
Super taxing. I find it's almost more taxing than the slalom. There's just something about that quick muscle memory that you've got to keep going, and it fatigues you really quickly.
Well, keep some in the tank for the rest of the matchups. It looks like if Vaya's able to get out of this next round, you'll be going up against her next. You have the 2nd and the 4th fastest times of the day since we started racing here today, so you're doing great. Keep up the good work, Harriet.
Thank you.
So Harriet absolutely on a storm right now. We'll give her a chance to catch her breath, and I'm sure she's going to be watching this next heat as we see Vaya Verbeek loaded in the gate. She has the advantage going up against Ertel.
We haven't seen Vaya break some of those top times like the other women.
Good start for
Yeah,
Vaya.
really good. That lunge is really nice. So now it's really about holding that speed. And Vaya's just so precise. She loves being precise. Her and Bass have this really nice pump track right in their front yard that they practice on. It's super technical, super tight. So
whatever training they've been doing in the off-season has been paying off. Vaya Verbeek advances. She'll be going up against Harriet Burbage-Smith in the round of 4 with Vaya Verbeek leading the Queen standings by 132 points. Her boyfriend Bas van Steenbergen doing the same in the men. Look back at these replays.
Yeah, so you see her do the lunge and then try to get a tiny bit of a pump right after that gate. You kind of talked about where you should be in these berms, and she's always in the perfect spot. Right in the middle. And then pumping in to the rollers.
People think you're joking when you talk about line choice and pump track,
Yeah.
but you have to put your bike in the right spot.
Yeah, the lines go from feet apart to inches apart, and you're really just trying to not lose traction.
Our semifinals are set right now. Hines going up against Gooms. Harriet going up against Vaya.
I mean, we talked about, you know, these first rounds aren't shoo-ins. Like we saw the mistake there from Gracie and point one back.
So as things have now worked their way into the semifinals for the women, we're going to take a look at the top of the course where the men are loaded up into the gate, and all these riders trying to put aside the math involved with those overall point structures, because of course, I mean, we're paying out top 5 positions out there, and you know, you want to take top honors, but if you can stay in that top 5, there's going to be some money in it for you at the end of the season in New Zealand. We see Thomas Slavic in the 5th place right now. Surprising to not see him in pump track, isn't it?
Totally. This is one of the events that you always think of Slavic, you know, 4-cross world champ, but it's not just about the win. 2nd place gets a ton of money as well, and it's definitely tight there. Joe and Jackson right on the precipice of kind of taking that spot.
So now that we've chiseled our women's field down to the final 4, I'm sure team managers and friends are grabbing their little iPhone calculators and trying to figure out what this means. We know that there's a big gap between Vi and Casey, but it's all about that top 5 as well. You see Robin Goom sitting there in 5th place. Harriet as well, Keelani as well, making it into the final 4. So points up for grabs.
Yeah, and this is really Keilani and Harriet's. It's going to be their event to make up points on all of the other women.
So yeah, 4th place points is 50 points, 3rd 60, 2nd 80, and a full 100 points for whoever's able to win the RockShox Pump Track SilverStar here. Now we got Niels Bensink back in the gate.
Starts with his foot down there so he can get more of a lunge. Amazing.
It's a unique starting tactic, isn't it?
I'd never seen that before. I think they did. I think Bass and him did some testing. They actually had a gate and timed a bunch of different starts. So it kind of shows how much work these athletes put into Crankworx. It's not like just showing up here and, you know, doing whatever.
Good job.
Well, luckily we have slow-mo cameras, so we are going to figure out what Niels Bensink is doing so right that has allowed him to not only qualify first, but knock out Jackson Frew here. Now, obviously something we're going to notice in these replays is the amount of speed lost to that long travel bike. Bigger wheels as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Crankworx is sometimes kind of a run what you've rung. It's hard to get like 5 bikes on a plane going around the world.
So there he is.
Smiling wave, boys.
Out of the Netherlands, Niels Bensink, your #1 qualifier. What is it about this starting technique that is allowing him to be so efficient out here? Let's slow it down, Elliot, and try to dissect what he's doing.
Yeah, so look at his right foot, it's down. So typically you would have your feet level, but having his foot down allows him to kind of go, like, move it backwards to get more leverage to go forward. So he's going to be using his brake, watch his right hand. As soon as his front tire passes the gate, lets it off, and then really crouching down to get another hop immediately. And that's the lunge you'll see. So you saw his back tire hop off the ground. And so it's really just about saying, how can I generate speed from nothing? Starting
lower, getting that right pedal down to start lower and be pushing from further back.
It's super interesting. We haven't really, I've never seen that like through all of the whole
Been doing this for years now too, huh?
I know.
We've used to nickname those starting techniques. We're gonna have to give that one the Coiled Cobra.
Well, Tegan running much lower than everyone else. Almost.
Is this serious?
It's almost like, you know, downhill or enduro pressures.
36 PS. Come on, Tegan, you're selling yourself short here. Let's get a pump to this guy.
And so you see Tegan trying to do that kind of hop, but wasn't able to get enough momentum. And so now it's going to be up to him to make up that time. He is on the faster course.
Right, all right. Oh, man. Tegan close right there, trying to come from behind.
Oh, 0.02.
Oh, man. Now we're talking tight racing right here. Well, at least we don't have to watch Tegan and Keegan race again. What are they doing to us up here? So Keegan Wright making it into the round of 4. He'll be going up against Niels Bensink. Let's look back.
Keegan doing the little squiggle on the right-hand side. Tegan doing the hop. So you see each person has their own style. And we talk about the start so much because, like I said, that is your speed throughout the entire race. But Tegan just so smooth. You can see him just perfect into these turns, so precise. He's one of these young kids who is just technically so gifted. Perfect tap manual.
Keegan, number 4 qualifier out there, but on top of that, I got some good news for you. You now have the fastest time of the day since we started racing on our broadcast here today. With all that considered, you burst onto the scene from pump track. Is it still your favorite discipline on the World Tour here?
Yeah, man, it's always been good fun. It's such a cool event, and I know it's always sick when all the crowd can get around the track and have a good vibe. It's definitely one of my favorite for sure.
Well, you look like you're in your element. Congratulations on the top time of the day. You'll be going up against Niels here in the next round, so we wish you the best of luck. Keep up the good work.
Cheers, doggy dog. Cheers.
Cheers, doggy dog. Keegan always having fun out there.
Yeah, he is. He's one of those kind of personalities that you always expect to see and always love to see at Crankworx.
Keegan's a man. He's going to be going up against Niels Bensink. That'll be a great heat. But right now, it's all about Garrett Meacham going up against another Kiwi, Tuhoto Ariki Pene. Garrett Meacham from Santa Cruz, California. Global field out here, but Garrett's got a 0.1 ahead of Tuhoto right now.
It's actually interesting. You see Garrett has his hands super inside his bars. Like, you can tell he's not, doesn't come from the race background. Comes from that slopestyle background.
He looks like he just caught a bar spin.
Yeah, right.
All right, man. It just goes to show how hard it is to carry speed on that back berm of that rider's right line, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think because even the rest of the track is drying out, but you still see that shadow there. So you can almost catch the ruts and things like that. And as a rider, you kind of, when it's wet like that, you have to stay light. So here's the start.
Bear in mind, Garrett had the advantage here before this gate drop. Tuhoto fighting from behind.
Yeah, it almost looks like he's crossing the finish line there.
Yeah, pushing the bike out. But yeah, like you say, look at how much space you have at the end of the grip there.
Yeah, totally. And compared to Tuhoto, who's right at the edge of the bar. So go ahead.
So it is interesting, you know, you just see so many different riders coming from different backgrounds. You can tell right here, this rider's coming from a dirt jump background. You tend to see those slopestyle dirt jump riders really choking up on that handlebar, getting all that leverage there for those bar spins. And it's fun to watch a rider with a downhill background go up against a rider with more of a jump background. But Garrett Meacham, unfortunately, we're sending him to the showers right now. He's not making it into the round of 4. But that's what Crankworx is all about. You see these different riders from different disciplines all crossing over with the goal in mind of those overall points. The man with the most overall points right now is in the gate. His name's Bas van Steenbergen. He's got an advantage over Braden Barrett-Hay, the slopestyle rider we've seen in years past, who we are happy to be able to welcome into our field here. Currently lives in Vernon, BC. So these guys live in the same town. I'm sure they ride with each other on a regular basis. But Bas van Steenbergen should be able to skate through this one. He's got a 1.5 on Braden.
Yeah, there's a really big scene. You mentioned just how many dirt jumps there are, how many slalom tracks there are. Bas getting that tire slam, I feel like. Bas just so stylish, making sure he doesn't make any mistakes, being precise. He's one of the people that trains really hard, and it looks like he makes a mistake in that turn, but it's actually just, you know, how soft the turn is, getting a big whip coming through there.
It is really impressive when you see the riders make it through that right-hand berm at the very back efficiently, because we were watching in practice, we were seeing dirt fly up, and that's not something you typically see on a pump track. It's that one spot of the course where the sun has been having a hard time reaching.
Yeah.
Look at this.
And you know what's interesting is actually Bas and Vi are kind of doing that same starting technique, so they might have tried to develop that together. So they do the lunge. Bas uses his brake to kind of get a little bit of a slingshot, lunges forward, and then his tire, look at where his tires land here. Just so incredibly perfect. That is kind of what a good pump looks like and what you're always striving for when you're kind of riding at home. It's just how good can I get on the backside of the roller.
So Bass, insane precision. Saying hey to Edsard and Caroline back down there at the bottom of the hill. Unfortunately, they're not able to be up here cheering on Big Bass, but we say what's up to them. I'm sure they're tuned in at home. And there's a look at our semifinals. Locked in right now. Some good matchups.
Totally. It feels like these could be 2 finals. See Vincent going against Keegan Wright. Keegan with the fastest time of the day.
So a lot of bike riding going on here outside of the racing, and you know, our boy Trevor's always down to make you have a little bit of FOMO. Let's check out the GT local laps with Trev. What has he been up to?
Oh my gosh. I have to do that, and I'm terrified.
Tires hitting me in the backside continuously. Got the catch burn. Very right. Very hard to ride. And sir, oh my goodness. Woo-hoo-hoo. That was sick. Textbook. Nice. I think a lot of the guys want to win it. It's very prestigious race. To get your name on a win for this trail is pretty cool. Running outside, man, it's rough on the trail bike. Thank God for good brakes and 2 20mm rotors. That was your course preview for Crankworx Psychosis. Fantastic. Woo!
It would be crazy to ride that trail, no matter what, but it would be even crazier to ride that trail on a hardtail. It sounds like Tom Bradshaw did exactly that, race Psychosis on a hardtail. Tom's with us right now. Tom, what up?
Hey, Cam, how you going, mate?
Going great, man. I got a couple questions for you, because it sounds like you're a bit insane. Psychosis, the name says it all, but you decided to ride it on a bike with no suspension. What was it like?
Yeah, Cam, the carcass is still recovering slightly, but it was really a throwback to the legends of that original Psychosis race. Like, those champions always had a hardtail class, and I don't know how they did it back then.
It's so rad. You know, like, people complain about their local trails not being technical enough. It's like, well, ride a hardtail, you know? And if all you got is a fire road, go back to the roots and ride a cruiser. We're going to take a look on screen right now, Tom, of what your experience was like. What was the hardest part? Was it the top chute, or was it some of the more tech stuff with drops in the woods? What was it?
that top chute's like the iconic piece that you always see. That was fun. But then just the hands, probably about 10 minutes in, were pretty brutal.
What were you on, 27.5, 29? What were you running?
Oh, I was pretty new school, Cam, on the 29er. Nothing like the guys back in the day on the 26 inches. And yeah, you saw the road gap. We had it at 30 feet this year. I think back in the day it was like 50 feet, and they were still sending it.
Tom, you're the man. Good on you for keeping it real. Somebody's got to do it, so way to go, man.
Thanks, Cam, mate. Cheers.
Later, Tom. So it's all about hardtails at the RockShox Pump Track SilverStar, and we're gonna now focus on a track where a hardtail is at home.
Yeah.
These are the polar opposites here, a pump track versus Psychosis. What do you make of that, Tom?
I mean,
what an animal.
Tom, apparently you can just ride one bike for everything. Go to the grocery store, ride Psychosis, all the same.
Save yourself the struggle. Just keep it simple, man. Ride a hardtail. I love it. I got myself a 29er hardtail.
I don't.
I'm on it all the time. Keep it real. You got to get one. All right. Where are we at right now, Elliot? I think we're going to be going into our round of 4 for our women. We're looking at Harriet Burbage-Smith on screen right now. But in the gate, we've got 2 silhouettes. I would imagine that's Keelani Hines going up against the backflipper herself, Robin Gooms. Hines, your #1 qualifier. Here we go. The cadence has started.
Ready? Watch the gate.
Close starts.
Perfect gate, but Keelani Hines doing what Keelani does, accelerating.
Kind of getting those nice manuals. I think as a rider, you're always making the decision, do I want to manual or do I want to double tire? Getting super close together right in the middle.
Oh, yeah, that is tight. Let's see exactly how tight. 0.29.
So bad now. It's, oh man, I just lost the
I mean, it's head-to-head racing. Like,
That ride time's really bad, yeah.
So Keelani Hines delivering on her promise, and that's kind of what qualifying first is. It's a promise to everybody out there rooting for you and yourself that you're going to take home the win, but it's a heavy burden to shoulder. Keelani Hines putting a .29 on Robin Gooms right now.
Seemed like Keelani was just really good at the end of that first straight. They were really close at the beginning, and then you saw them get super close together. Head-to-head racing is not something you normally see on a mountain bike. And then Keelani really getting that manual, crossing through the timing strip.
That's what .29 looks like right there.
Nothing.
Basically, I mean, there's a little bit of space between the back tire of Keelani and the front tire of Robin Gooms. That makes for a little over a quarter of a second that Robin Gooms will have to make up once we switch sides and do it all over again. You see some nice words of inspiration there tattooed on the hands of Harriet Burbage-Smith. Hold on.
This is going to be a close race.
Here we go. Via Verbeek going up against Harriet Burbage-Smith in their first run of the semifinals. Here we go.
I think Via's going to try to make time up in the turns. Harriet on the straights.
Oh, number 2 and 3 qualifiers. This is going to be a heater.
We'll know as soon as they come onto this last straight.
Wow, neck and neck in the final straightaway. What's it going to be? Oh, man. I feel like we had a couple lead exchanges there.
I mean, the whole time they were going back and forth. Each roller, one of them pulled ahead, .01.
So 100th of a second between Via, who has the advantage, ahead of Harriet Burbage-Smith. In such a short period of time to see so many lead exchanges, that's why we love RockShox Pump Track Challenge. Let's take a look back.
Totally. They both kind of doing the same rhythms, manually the same stuff. Almost looks like a mirror image of each other. But again, Via is riding these turns so perfect, getting out early, getting in early into that next one. A little bit of a jumping onto the flat there. She made a little bit of speed.
So we talked about what a quarter of a second across the finish line looks like, and now we get to see what 100th of a second looks like. Oh my goodness. Look at this, we got the overlap here. Oh
what do you mean?
Look, here's the line right here, and you can like barely see a difference between these two tires. Absolutely as close as you can imagine.
That is incredible.
So it's going to be a drag race when we get them back to the top of the course and switch sides. Via with a very, very minimal advantage. She's the second place qualifier. Harriet's the third place qualifier. And that's how it goes. It's like, oh, well, we knew it was going to have to come to this at some point.
Right. And we do know that that rider's right is a little bit smaller, but this race is going to be really tight. Keegan with that super fast time, he's getting faster throughout the day, it seems like.
So Keegan Wright, the number 4 qualifier, he has the fastest time of the day for the men, going up against the number 1 qualifier, Niels Bensink. Niels Bensink from the Netherlands. If he's able to make it through, will we possibly see number 1 and 2 go against each other? Keegan Wright wants to make sure that does not happen. There we go, run number 1 between these two.
Two totally different starts, but really close. Niels just with a slight advantage, almost even coming into this first turn.
Oh, I like this. Elliot, this is going to be close. Oh, we're going to see another 100th of a second here. Oh, what's it going to be?
Niels trying to make up time. He didn't make up any time, but he hit that turn really well. .06. Apparently, this is like the tightest racing we've ever seen.
So Keegan Wright making sure that he paces himself right. Didn't want to like give up too much, qualify first. He qualified 4th, but he's just getting faster and faster as the day goes. Look at him. I never even noticed
with his foot.
two breaks. I wonder if that has something to do with the start.
Yeah, it's not gonna Kirk, like you almost, should you take it off? Because you don't want to hit it. But I think it's interesting to even, some riders, you know, like for me, I don't really
you can
like.
Take a look at that finish line here, buddy. What's it gonna be? It was tight. That's a .06 looks like.
He's been here before. He definitely knows what to do.
So there's a look at our fastest times of the day. Keegan Wright has the top 2 fastest times. Bass with the 3rd fastest, and Niels, your number 1 qualifier, does not have any of those top times. So it's all about pacing yourself. And so Bas van Steenbergen, another unique start. Break it down for us, Elliot.
Yeah, so watch, he's gonna hold the brake and then pull his wheel back. It's like almost do a wheelie, slam the front end down, which he's gonna let him do that lunge. He actually preloads the fork almost like a hole shot device into that gate.
Do you see that? All right, we look at that fork. He's actually compressing it, so when he's able to let it bounce back up, do you think that's kind of like cocking the gun a little bit, like having some...
I think so, which is pretty incredible that you kind of micromanage what the gate is doing to the bike.
So there we go. Look at the amount of travel here. I'm gonna... You see how compressed that fork is right there? And he's basically got it loaded so he can just unleash as soon as that gate drops. Let's take a look at how he does this. Bas van Steenbergen against Tehoto Ariki.
Both with almost even starts, neck and neck going into that first turn. Bas has been really good in the switchbacks all day long. Oh, it just got such a good run. That was incredible.
You know what I want to know is, like, can we get an update to those fastest times of the day right now? Because I forget what they were, but that 15.8 looked pretty quick there from Bas. Here we go. That is the fastest time of the day by a bit.
Yeah.
First time we've seen in the 15, sub 16 there for Bas van Steenbergen.
Okay.
Rising to the top right on time here.
And I think that kind of shows you what experience does. Bas knows how to rise to the pressure. And when you get a, pretty much a perfect run like that, like just so good. Both of the riders leaning into the turns. You don't jump and then lean, you kind of jump and lean at the same time. Looking to the exit always. Bas is going to spot these, one of their only riders manually through there, spot these switchbacks right next to the pole. That's kind of what everyone's been trying to do all day. A lot of riders hitting that thing and then just getting a perfect straight. See him just floating.
Bas telling that bike what to do and grabbing that fastest time of the day. Speaking of time, let's take a look at our swatch day in the life with Finn Isles.
Finn, you make a career out of racing against the clock, but I feel like every downhill racer has a love and hate relationship with time. How's yours?
I think it's pretty good. My whole life is basically just like defined by being the fastest person down the track, so spending the actual least amount of time on my bike when it comes to racing, which is kind of funny. But I feel like the clock, like racing against the clock, would stress a lot of people out, and I feel like there's like a weird relationship where as soon as somebody has to be timed, they ride worse because they feel like that stress is on them. But I feel like I'm really comfortable with it because I've been doing it my whole life, and I actually feel like as soon as I'm in the gate and it goes like, that beep, 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 and you go, it's like, okay, I'm a little bit anxious, and then it's like you go and it's like tunnel vision, and it's just riding, and that's when you ride your best. So that's like a really cool feeling, is because as soon as you start racing, you can have the best day of your life or the worst day of your life, but normally you ride your very best when you're on the clock, so that's a really good feeling. Time's ticking.
The life of a racer, it's all about the clock. And I don't know, man, that's a funny way to put it. I've never thought about that, actually. Like you love riding your bike so much, but you're trying to ride your bike less than anybody when it comes to race day.
Go to the racetrack and be like, man, I was on my bike such a small amount of time.
So our semifinals run number 2. Now that's where we find ourselves in the RockShox Pump Track Challenge here. Women's category getting ready to take to this course. Out of all the different disciplines we have here, this one's absolutely the sprint. We've seen our fastest time of the day, 15.8 for the men. But a whole lot of riding when you consider they've done round of 16, round of 8. We're in a round of 4 right now. We're getting closer and closer to delivering the hardware and those valuable points for the King and Queen overalls. Our heat number 1, run 2 for the women is about ready to get loaded into the gate, but we're reviewing some footage right now, trying to see if there's a possible disqualification. Explain to me about how that works sometimes. You know, there are some of these flags in the course.
Yeah, as long as both wheels are on the correct side, then you're all good. But some of the times we'll see the poles go over, or one wheel miss or something like that. And if you do that, you're disqualified.
Well, I just heard in my ear that they reviewed and there's no disqualification, so that's great. Robin Gooms with .29 to make up behind Keelani Hines. They are off and running.
Oh, and slips a pedal there right out of the gate. Was trying to get a ton of power, but that's one of the things that can happen. A lot of these riders running flat pedals. Keelani getting an easy.
So Keelani Hines will skate through and find herself in the finals, which is exactly what you expect to do when you qualify first. So congratulations, Keelani Hines there.
Sucks, yeah.
Robin Gooms will be done for the day. Let's look back at the replays.
Watch her right foot here. Oh, didn't see the pedal, just maybe
just
lost
off timing,
little balance, yeah. Mentioned like some of the riders trying to find a rhythm section on flat ground almost. Either it's a lunge or a pump or a hop or something like that to pick up any extra speed. But you mentioned how physical it is, and Keelani just cruising over, make sure she can save some energy for the
Keelani
final.
Hines has been on the tour a lot. She's learned a ton over the years. Look at that, putting all that knowledge to the test there. The first and second fastest times. We caught up with her about how much she's learned on the Crankworx World Tour over the years. She had this to say.
I think some of the lessons that I've learned has just been to be patient with myself. I think like excelling really well at one thing, it kind of like makes you eager to like be good at everything, and it just doesn't work like that, especially when you're coming from something like BMX into mountain biking, where I'm riding now 4 bikes and not just one, and I'm training on 4 bikes. It's like a process, and you kind of have to trust it and just take your time and like, learn as you go. Sometimes it's like hard to learn the hard way and like lose, but it's just the process and you have to like go with it.
For the youngsters out there, I feel like there's so much to be learned from a veteran like Keelani Hines, especially considering most riders who show up on the Crankworx World Tour come from a specific discipline, and then all of a sudden, instead of just being the master of one, you have to become a jack of all. And that king and queen overall really reflects who has been able to kind of spread their wings the most, step outside their comfort level.
Yeah, we saw Vaya kind of come from downhill, Harriet here coming from BMX, and now meeting at pump track on hardtail.
So who's it going to be right now? 100th of a second separating Vaya Verbeek and Harriet Burbage-Smith. The advantage belonging to Vaya Verbeek, but this is a straight-up drag race.
And so it was so close in that first heat, and now...
Oh, look at this, Harriet!
Using that little bit of speed on
Harriet with the drive, she has done it! Look at that! Well, we expected that to be a tight matchup there, the second and third qualifiers, but number 3 qualifier, Harriet Burbage-Smith, making it into the final. She'll be going up against Keelani Hines. Wow.
And they were so close everywhere, right? I think the thing that we're looking for is how much speed did they carry in these 2 switchbacks. They're pretty close. You see Harriet just kind of pulling ahead, but then this tight right, little bit of mud in there. It's a little bit slower, and that is just going to ruin your speed. So Harriet actually had a really good time last run if she was able to keep up with Vaya.
I just couldn't assume I was right after.
Look at the times of the day right there. Keelani 17.9 with the fastest time, but Harriet.
It's almost precursor to what we're going to see in the final.
Isn't
it's
that
back
funny?
and forth,
Like, not
back
like-
and forth, so even.
That's not like an insult.
Brackets, Elliot. What do we got?
So I think the matchup that we've kind of known and hoped was going to happen the whole day was Keelani Hines versus Harriet Burbage-Smith, and then Vaya versus Robin Gooms. I think both of these will be super evenly
How about
matched.
this, though? Look at our quality numbers there. 1, 2, 3, and 4, making it all the way to 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. Men's semis in the gate.
This is another one of those races that we've been looking forward to seeing how Niels can do. Look at the times in the semifinal.
Will Keegan be able to knock out the #1 qualifier? He has an advantage of 0.06 of a second over Niels Bensink. They're off and running.
Niels getting an amazing start, but Keegan making up time on those first couple of rollers, perfect into that right-hander. I think both of them, Niels a little bit of an advantage.
Oh, 0.06 to play with Niels Bensink. Is he going to do it? It's going to be close. What does the clock say? 0.3, not going to be enough.
Sorry about that, bro.
They got super close.
It is going to be enough. Look at that. Okay, that's after they did the math. So Niels is advancing.
Niels making it happen. You saw Keegan just pushing with everything he had, getting a little bit wild in that right-hand turn, and then over the straight. Just on a pump track race, you're really just trying to push as hard as you can. The harder you push into the roller, the more speed you're going to get.
Man, Keegan really made him work for this one. He had that 0.06 of a second advantage. But look how Niels turned on the jets in the final straightaway.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we see that.
We know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that BMX background is really helping Niels, because on all of these straights, he's just so good, able to actually get in between that roller. You see a lot of people jumping onto the top but maybe losing a little bit of speed. Niels able to get into there, floating over the top, just barely touching his front wheel on the top of the tabletop.
So Niels Bensink delivering what you'd expect from the #1 qualifier, being able to put it down under pressure. But this is the big question right here. Bas van Steenbergen going up against Tuhoto Ariki. Tuhoto doing a great job making it all the way to the semifinals here. Bas van Steenbergen with 1.1 advantage.
We saw Bas in that first heat with just an amazing run. Let's see if he can make it competitive even on the slower track. Getting those switchbacks really nice. Tuhoto, a little bit low coming out of that left-hander. Bas knows he had a bit of an advantage in that first heat, so he could kind of chill out a bit.
So Tuhoto, we got to say, great job qualifying well today and making it all the way into the semifinals here. But Bas van Steenbergen is so tough to beat in pump track, the #2 qualifier, looking flawless as always.
And you see they're really even, you know, even just neck and neck. And then Tuhoto, you heard him say he just slid a little bit coming out of the X of the turn. That's why he went lower there. And it's always a trade-off. You can push in, but you could lose traction at the same time.
So Bas, that right-hand berm at the end of the Rider's Right course right there is so challenging. That's the course you were on right there. What is it like trying to carry speed out of that berm as the conditions kind of evolve throughout the day?
It's pretty much impossible. It's just soft everywhere. I tried to go high, low, low, high. Like, yeah, you just never really end up in a dialed spot. So just getting as much speed in is going to be the key, and then carry as much of it out as you can. But yeah, it's tough.
That starting technique you have right now, have you been working a lot with the gates at home? It looks like you've got a new strategy up there.
I think it's the same as it was, but yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird one. It's like, it feels so strange to work on that, but yeah, no, it feels pretty decent.
It's working for you, man, so congrats. It's going to be no easy path to grab the gold out here, but I know you got your sights set on it, so I can't wait to watch the show.
Yeah, all Dutch final.
I know, I was going to say that. It's the craziest thing ever. So we're going to talk about that a bit, and maybe you'll, if you win, you'll be able to speak some Dutch for us, because I know you don't like to do that. So
yeah, sounds good.
All right, sick. Congrats on making it through, Bas. Good luck. Here we go. This is what it looks like, and he's referring to this right there. Niels Bensink out of the Netherlands. Bas van Steenbergen flying the Maple Leaf. His family moved here, I don't know, 10 years or so ago, and you know, him and his brother Tom not speaking English, and then now they don't even have accents anymore, which is crazy, but it'd be cool to hear a little finish line banter between Niels and Bas this next heat.
Man, and they're good friends. They, I think Bas has been teaching Niels a couple things about riding mountain bikes, and Niels kind of on the BMX. Bas is a great BMX rider, and we see in the bronze medal round, 2 Kiwis. They've ridden together a lot and know how each other rides for sure.
Big day tomorrow, slope style time, and if you want to be a part of the action, make sure you go on to the Red Bull medal predictor. If it was for pump track, it'd be easy. You know, you'd say, oh, 1 and 2 qualifiers, and then you would have been right. But for slopestyle, it's all about following the whole World Tour, checking out the results from Innsbruck, checking out past results from previous seasons, looking at who is on the start list. I get on there, I've already made my selections, but you have a bit of time to adjust them. So I'm gonna be out there watching practice tomorrow, adjusting my selections. There's also some trivia below that you gotta answer, some Crankworx slopestyle trivia. So big top riders out there tomorrow: Emil Johansson, Nikolai Rogakin, Eric Fedko, the whole crew, David Godziak, Thomas Chenant. That's gonna be fun. But right now it's all about pump track. The chains are off, the tires are pumped up, and we've got our top riders in the gate here. We're looking at Via, Verbeek.
I think Via, just having so much experience, she is thinking about that queen title and doesn't want to throw it away, but also is so competitive and wants to win.
Bronze medal on the line here will be Robin Gooms or Via Verbeek, run 1 of the bronze medal matchup.
Via with a really nice start. Robin not as much speed, but I think making it up a little bit coming into that right-hand turn. Getting a really nice manual. And then that right-hand turn, I think it's getting a little bit slower as we go throughout the day. It's kind of like a, what do you call that, like a little quicksand sinkhole?
Slow sand. So Via Verbeek crossing the line, 1.4 ahead of Robin Gooms. So Vi would love to add some third place points to the tally, extend that Queen of Crankworx overall lead. So on the line there, third place points would be 60 points. Via looking to do what she can to grab those.
Dang, that, I think that was one of her best starts all day. And again, I think one of the things you can take away at home is just how precise these riders are. Everything they do is really deliberate. See Via just like coming out, hopping further inside to set herself up better for this left-hand turn, using all the track, drifting outside on that left-hand turn.
Well, this is going to be good right here. This is our bronze medal matchup. Heat number 1 for the men. Keegan Wright going up against Tuhoro Ariki Penne. So impressive here for Tuhoro. You know, we think of him as a downhill racer. Here he is, possibly a chance to win a bronze medal here, but he's got to get past a pump track specialist, Keegan Wright. New Zealand first, New Zealand on course.
And both of them really pushing. They want to beat each other so bad. It's all about who's not making mistakes. Tuhoro coming into this last left-hander a little bit ahead. Keegan hitting that soft turn really good and just pushing as hard as he can.
Keegan Wright charging till the end, and like you say, he was able to carry some decent speed out of that soft, slow sand berm on the rider's right course, but Tuhoro is gonna have to ride that here once we switch sides. You hear them talking about the leg fatigue.
Yeah. It's, you know, you don't really think about it, but you know, when you do a pump track race, I always think, did I even breathe the whole time I was going around there? Just because you're pushing so hard, and both of these riders, just see them manualing, pumping, hopping into this left-hand berm. Keegan, look at those tires. Look how close he is to the top.
That angle is insane. Look at the eyes up.
Always looking to the outside, to the exit of the turn.
Look at that, eyes up. Look where you want to go, not where you are, kids. See the tree, hit the tree.
And that's just going to let him prepare for the next obstacle. Always looking a couple of obstacles ahead.
So that's going to be cool to see them switch courses and determine that bronze medal. But we're back at the top of the course now. Run number 1 of our gold medal matchup. Our number 1 qualifier, Keilani Hines, going up against number 3 qualifier, Harriet Burbage Smith.
Harriet with a bit of a better reaction time.
Yeah.
But Keilani making up a little bit of time throughout that first straight. Now the riders are going to try to carry speed through those switchbacks, and it's all about how much speed you can carry down this last straight. Keilani's got to push, even knowing that she's on the slower lane. That advantage is not insurmountable once we switch lanes and rack them back up.
So Harriet ahead there.
Everyone just getting
Oh,
tired
no
with
way.
that.
Check it out.
That is the fastest time of the day. Harriet raising to the occasion in the gold medal match, making it happen.
Didn't we just talk to her earlier on the headset about how tired she was, and she's talking about how she's got to keep some gas in the tank. She's getting faster as the day goes by.
And we're running the same kind of cadence as a BMX race, so Harriet's going to be, I mean, both of them have raced BMX, but Harriet is just going to be so comfortable knowing when that gate is going to drop, manling out of that turn, and knowing that you have to push super hard, really getting high, but that's okay because she was able to kind of hop out of the berm into that last roller. Little nose manual.
Look at that.
No problem.
Nose manual right through the finish lights. Perfect. So Niels Bensink with an opportunity to take home some more hardware. He will finish no lower than second place, meaning that he's either going to get a silver or a gold. He has taken away a Crankworx pump track medal. It was Innsbruck just a few months ago. Take a look at how he did it. He's going up against Adrian Lerone. He was behind. So we know from this that we're revisiting right now that Niels Bensink is no stranger to pressure. He does not buckle under that pressure. Coming from behind against Adrian Lerone and doing what he needed to do to grab that bronze medal against somebody that we've seen be so decorated on the Crankworx World Tour like Adrian Lerone, especially in the discipline of pump track. So Niels Bensink in the gate right now going up against Bas van Steenbergen, who qualified second. This is it. This is the dream, the collision course between first and second qualifiers. Run one of the gold medal matchup. Niels Bensink, Bas van Steenbergen.
Two perfect starts. Bas with a little bit of an advantage going into this first left-hander. How much speed can they carry? Bas said that it's all about carrying speed out of this last turn. But Niels right there, though.
Wow! Bas van Steenbergen taking advantage, knowing that starting out on that faster course, you want to put something good on your competitor. A .39 is what he's able to muster.
And I think that was the fastest time of the day.
Come on. Seriously, come on, let's see. Look at that. He's getting faster as we go. 15.7. Bas.
He's the only person that's been able to get into the 15s, and he's done it the last two times that he's been on that left side track.
Let's look back here. I mean, flawless for both riders. Can you pick out any mistakes here from either of them?
I mean, we see them just so precise. Now is not the time. I mean, Bas is able to actually even get a little bit lower in that switchback and still not lose traction. Again, just floating through, pumping his back tire. When you see him manually, he's really pushing into the backside of that roller to generate speed.
He's got that fast twitch muscle reaction thing going on, and every movement he makes is something in the interest of gaining speed. It's almost like he's wiggling in the berms too, like getting like lateral pump. All right, bronze medal matchup for the women.
All comes down to this one run. If Via can, for her, it's about not making mistakes. And Robin really just needs to push on this faster side.
So Via Verbeek with an advantage of 1.4 over Robin Gooms right now. This is Via's to lose. The bronze medal matchup, if she's able to keep a smooth run, she should be able to pull it off.
Pretty close.
But she's got to deal with this back right-hand berm, Elliot.
And now it's just a couple rollers before bronze medal for Via Verbeek.
So despite crossing the finish line, second Via Verbeek, knowing she had a 1.4 advantage, and she will take the bronze medal and add to that points tally.
She's just such a smart rider.
591 plus 100, Via, or plus third place points. Let's see how many that is. Here we go, third place, 60. She adds 60 points.
I just getting that lunge. And like I said, off the start, it might only be a tire width, but it kind of magnifies into a bike length or two by the end of that first straight, just because you had a little bit of extra speed. It seems like if I had taken that high line in that soft berm, I saw a couple people do that, and that seems to be the most packed in part of that berm. But both these riders, super talented, by just making up a little, just has a little bit higher average speed around the whole track.
So Via Verbeek grabbing those third place 60 points to add to the 591 she had coming into the day. 651 points now belonging to Via Verbeek, and now men's bronze medal matchup. This is going to be a good one.
Tohoto in a t-shirt.
I know. You getting warm out there this freezing cold day, Tohoto? Tough. So Tohoto Enrique Penne right now with the advantage over Keegan Wright. Keegan needs a flawless lap right now. He's in the fast course.
Yeah, he is, and both of them really pushing, kind of making a little bit of mistakes on that first section. Tohoto's got to push because he's only got 0.4 to play with.
I think he's going to do that. Looks like more than 0.4. There we go. Keegan Wright grabs that bronze medal. Congratulations to Keegan. Number 4 qualifier taking third place out there and knocking out the third place qualifier to do it. So Keegan Wright doing his job today, making sure that the fastest riding he does comes at the end of the day when it counts the most.
First roller, you can see where they both kind of landed right on top, and so they lost a little bit of time right there, and they knew that, so they were pushing pretty hard and kind of just a little bit wild throughout the whole rest of the track. And Tohoto coming out of this berm, trying to gain speed, but not quite able to make up the 0.2 he needed. Here's that start. Keegan, look at his front wheel almost off the gate.
Look at Keegan, like eyes up, taking a look over at Tohoto, trying to figure out what he's up against. Something you'd never notice without that slow-mo replay, but a little bit of a slither there to just try to generate some speed. And it's just such a snail's crawl until this first roller. You see both riders lifting up to try to put that tire on the back side of that roller. It's crazy to think how fast they're going by the end of the run, and it all comes down to the, it all starts with that. All right, women's gold medal matchup next. This is going to be a good one. Keilani Hines, your number 1 qualifier, going up against Harriet Burbage-Smith, the number 3 qualifier.
These women have been trading fastest times of the day all day.
So Harriet, I believe, has the advantage right now.
Keilani knows that, but she also knows that she's on the faster track.
0.472 to play with here.
Similar situation to our men's bronze medal match. Keilani a little bit behind off the start. Sometimes it's good. It's almost like a horse race where you know you have to make up time. So she's going to push, come back together.
Oh, is Harriet going to be able to hold on here? Oh, that's a big gap. Keilani Hines crosses the finish line, and she does it. She makes up that disadvantage and takes the gold medal.
And Harriet Burbage-Smith walking down the silver. Harriet, Via, that is your 1, 2, 3
victory there. The celebration.
I'm tired, but I just won. So Harriet just getting that amazing start, doing the hop technique, getting into that first roller, which really set her up for the rest of the track. Now we have Keilani here. Again, all of these last rounds, everyone's just looking so perfect. Looking ahead, looking out of the berm. Really just floating through, using the double tire technique on some of these longer transitions. And we can see that advantage just start right from the beginning.
So Keilani, top qualifier, fastest time of the day, and you took the gold medal. But guess what? In that last run, you were coming from behind. What was it like with that little bit of pressure knowing you had, I think it was 0.4, and you're able to make it happen when it counts?
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, Harriet's a great competitor on pump track, and I knew I had the faster side, so I just had to be perfect on that side to get her by that much, because 0.4 is kind of a lot on pump track. So yeah, I was happy.
Do you feel like that back right-hand berm is where you lost a 0.4? Is it that much of a factor right now? We're curious because we've got one more run to go and we want to see how it's going to play out.
Oh, well, for me, my gait is just slower than Harriet's. And then I think on top of that, that back right corner really got me. So Yeah, probably.
Congrats, Keelani. Way to go. This was all your day.
Thank you.
So Keelani Hines, fastest qualifier, taking the fastest time of the day and the gold medal. Way to go. Way to go. And there's a look at how the story unfolded here for the women's category. Keelani Hines, gold medal. Harriet Berber-Smith with the silver. And bronze medal going to Via Verbeek as she extends her lead for Queen. That 651 points. Now one more race to go. It will be the men's final. So let's take a look back at how we found ourselves here, remind ourselves of the differential. Run number one between Niels Bensink and Bas van Steenbergen.
Yeah, this, was just a masterclass on what it means to ride a pump track. Bas getting that perfect start, carrying good speed. You heard Keelani say, on the faster track, you're really just trying to be perfect. And perfect means getting perfect backside on the turns, not touching the brake, not squiggling around, or getting too far inside on the turns. Bas really laying it down there, but he is on the slower side. Niels is going to have that same thought. So now it's my chance.
A flawless run by both parties resulted in a .114 in favor of the faster course. Now we switch it, and no room for error here for Niels Bensink. He's got to make up .114. Oh, this could be good.
Niels about half a wheel length ahead. Both of them getting that switchback.
Oh, come on. Wow, Bas losing speed in that back berm. Oh, that's going to be it right there. No doubt about it. Niels Bensink makes up that .114 and then some. Niels Bensink grabs the gold medal.
What a race. To be able to take it on the last race, the faster side, all the pressure knowing that this is where you have to make up your time. You're down. And to make that happen.
Oh, that darn back berm. All right, this is the berm that we've been talking about. This is such a character in this race, just as much as Bas and Niels are characters in this race.
And they're so even coming into it.
There we go. So look, what do you think, Elliot? He's kind of pointed upwards a little bit.
Well, I think you're trying to just find a hard packed section of that berm.
Okay, let's see as we roll it what his exit speed was like. Here, another angle, Elliot.
And you can see him actually how bumpy it is. Pulls out, but actually lands on the top of that. That's why you see him kind of collapse, because he was a little bit early on that pump. And it just snowballs so much. You miss one pump.
So, Niels, congrats, top qualifier today, and they definitely made you earn it. Came down to the wire right there, and we just asked Keelani this as well. What's it like being up in the gate knowing that you have a differential to make up?
Well, thanks first of all. I knew that the right course was a bit slower, so I knew 3/10 could be doable, but I needed a heater of a run, so that was the goal, and I think I got that one pretty damn perfect, so yeah, came out with the win.
So Dutch 1 and 2 right there. What do you want to say to friends and family watching at home?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Like, Bas and I grew up riding together with his younger brother Tom, and didn't see him for a while, and now we're back on the same circuit, so that's fun, yeah.
Full circle moment right there. Not only the story with you and Bas, but first place qualifier grabbing the gold medal. Congratulations, Niels.
Thank you.
Isn't that crazy when that happens? I mean, you look at the qualifying and you say, all right, well, that's how we're going to base our predictions. But when they have to work for it so hard, and those number one qualifiers still take away the win. It's so impressive.
Yeah, I mean, everyone upped their qualifying time. Bas actually with that fastest time of the day, but you heard Niels say that it was pretty perfect, and he was only 0.06 off of the fastest time of the day, so he actually rose to the occasion, under all the pressure, and said, this is going to be a perfect run, and was able to execute it.
Well, great day of pump track racing out here. The sun is shining. And we've got one more day of competition out here. It's been a crazy road trip with, lots of different disciplines, lots of weather out there. And we've got one more event to go. It's slopestyle tomorrow. I'm going to be here in the booth with Alan Cook, Elliot, but I know you're not going to miss it. You're going to be out there, you're going to get some good seats or what?
Oh, man, I wouldn't miss it. The slopestyle guys, I can't even tell you how gnarly it is what they do.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I see it, and I'm just like, no, I don't understand, and especially opposite stuff, and it's just incredible. But I was so happy to catch all the racing this week, and I can't wait to see what is in store in Rotorua.
So there's going to be a little bit different list of riders than you've seen at our other disciplines right here. So some of those familiar faces are making up our King leaderboard. And with some more points distributed right now, we've got to update that leaderboard and see what it looks like. Bas van Steenbergen grabbing those second place points. That's going to help him out. But Niels Bensing climbing right up. 5th place. He's sitting in contention for some prize money if he's able to hold on. And this win today gave him 100 points.
Yeah, and it just shows you that kind of anything can happen, especially coming into this last round of Crankworx in Rotorua. There's tons of points to play for, and anything can happen.
So Jackson Frew and Joe Breeden in 2nd and 3rd place in the King standings. This is what the Queen standings look like. Via extending that lead.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she's just such a professional, knows exactly what she needs to do to manage her lead. And Keilani taking that 2nd place spot and just kind of extending her lead over Harriet. But it's so close in the women's for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
The Via and Bass show continues here on our Crankworx World Tour 2021. They're done racing for the day, but we're not done with broadcasts for SilverStar. We've got another event coming for you. We were just talking about it a little bit. It's going to be the title slope style at SilverStar Bike Park, presented by Cliff. It's taking place tomorrow. I feel like exactly 24 hours away from right now. Here's a little bit of a preview of what you can expect. These are some clips from Innsbruck, the stop number 1 on the 2021 Crankworx World Tour. We have that man here tomorrow, Eric Fedko. We have that man here tomorrow, Nikolai Rogakin, Emil Johansson. Can he make it 5 Crankworx slopestyle wins in a row? We're going to find out tomorrow. The weather looks good. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. We're going to knock some drum beats on as much wood as we can find, because tomorrow's going to be a great day. Today was a great day. I got to thank you all for joining us here at this RockShox Pump Track Challenge at SilverStar Bike Park. Join us tomorrow for Slopestyle. I've been your host, Cam McCall. Thank you, Elliot Jackson, for joining me. We'll see you tomorrow for Slopestyle. Come on back now. Go away now, but then come on back then. All right, you got it? Okay, cool. See you later.
Thanks, Claire.